What is up, my frosty brethren? My name is Arctic, and today I'm bringing you guys some of that Gears gameplay and discussion. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the news that we got over the past week, and a little bit about movement. This isn't going to be a very long video. More asking questions is what I've been typically doing with these. If you guys don't know, this has kind of been a weekly thing I've been doing on Thursdays at 2 p.m. That's every single day I post a video, 2 p.m. Eastern, but Thursday specifically for Gears. And right after my video last week and the week before, actually, we got some news. So the week before, 2 weeks ago, I talked about the Marcus Phoenix collection. There were some tweets at Phil Spencer. He started talking about it a little bit, made a retweet and said they basically that, yeah, it would be cool, but it's not like a confirmed thing, right? And after my video this past week, I think the very next day, they talked about Gears of War not being a reboot, the new one not being a reboot, and that they aim to bring the franchise back to its darker roots. And that kind of hit home with, I think, me, because what I've seen from you all is that some of the reasons that you got into Gears of War in the first place is that the game seemed really darkly themed, and as the game progressed, especially with Gears 3, I think that it was a lot more colorful, and it didn't have the dark grays and browns everywhere, which it seemed to kind of throw people off. I'm not necessarily pushing one way or the other in terms of art style, but I think having a darker tone for the game, thematic, acting and all that stuff kind of plays into that, not just the brightness and colors on the screen. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The other thing I kind of pulled from that is that they keep talking about these franchises that they want to last for 10 years. Now, you think about Gears when it first released to Gears 3 or Judgment, it didn't quite last 10 years, but in this interview, a brief interview that Phil Spencer said, he talked about the game wanting, or them wanting to invest in the game for the next decade. So that's kind of something to think about, in terms of pacing for this, how often they want to release a game. It seems like each one, if they plan to go 10 years, is probably going to be pretty big, unless Gears does so amazing that they're pumping out a yearly game for it. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Regardless, there's a little bit of news on this. If you haven't seen it, I have the link down in the description for all you guys. Links save lives. I know you guys all remember that. But the other thing I want to talk a little bit about was movement in Gears of War 4 and what you guys kind of want it to resemble. Now, Judgment's movement was actually pretty good in terms of wall bouncing, fluidity. Seemed like it was pretty good. I think Gears 3, they're pretty close for me in terms of overall movement. I don't want to go back to Gears 2, and I don't particularly like Gears 1. If you go back and play Gears 1, for those of you that are still playing, it feels sluggish. That's the only way I can put it. It feels kind of sluggish. I'm hoping for like a 60 FPS, very smooth. I feel like wall bouncing at 60 FPS would feel so good. And I would prefer that the controls and movement feel very similar to Gears 3, or in some cases Judgment. Not necessarily the controls for Judgment, but the movement was pretty fluid. One of the things, very quickly before I sign off here, is that with wall bouncing, there's been not necessarily people against it, but more about the argument that it's a broken mechanic. And I've seen a number of people talk about this based off of hitboxes and showing how shots should hit with the wall bounce when you're aiming down sights and all this stuff. And for the majority of people I've seen arguing against it, especially ones, at least on YouTube, not necessarily on the forums, they will willingly admit that they're not wall bouncers themselves and they don't use it, or they don't like it. So I'm kind of wondering if people start championing behind no wall bouncing, what their argument would be if it was hitboxes, or they didn't like it or felt like it was broken, versus the crowd that really enjoys it. Personally, I love wall bouncing. I feel like it adds another layer of skill to the game. If you have a harder time tracking your opponents, obviously that kind of raises the skill curve there a little bit. But the other thing is, I use alternate control schemes. So, the fact that I think this is also reported, and this is someone that came into our stream earlier today, talked about them saying that they're going to return to the old control scheme. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but if that's the case and you play alternate control scheme, it seems like it would be pretty good. So really interested to hear what you guys want to have for movement, and what you guys thought of the news, if you didn't know already. That there's just a little blurb of news, right? But people are getting all excited about it. So I still feel like we're a little too anxious on, at least some folks, a little too anxious about any Gears news that they hear. But that's today's video. Nothing, no dramatic discussions today. I think I'll follow up next week with something a little bit more serious and thought-provoking. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, I post these every week. You guys can go back and check some of the previous ones. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video and subscribe so I can stay in touch with y'all. And until the next time, I will catch you all later. Stay frosty. So you missed my previous Gears video, huh? Well, luckily for you, it's right there. Just click right there. Come on. What are you waiting on? Just click. Click it. It's right there for you. Come on. This is unnecessary.